All right, today we're basically going on one of history's greatest treasure hunts, the search for lost and mysterious texts. We're going to travel from dusty monasteries to forgotten caves and unearth some of the strangest, most puzzling writings humanity has ever left behind. Let's dive in. This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The idea that entire histories, entire mythologies are sitting right there in front of us, but they're completely silent. These are messages from our past that are either misunderstood, misfiled, or just locked away. So, our first stop is probably the most fundamental puzzle of all ancient writings where we can see every single symbol, every mark, but the language itself is just vanished from human memory. These are the visible but silent languages. And here's what that really means an undeciphered script isn't just a tough text to crack. No, it's a complete communication breakdown with the past. It's like we have the message, but we've completely lost the dictionary and the grammar book forever. And this isn't just a theoretical problem. We're talking about real physical artifacts. Things like the Proto-Elamite tablets, which are some of the oldest writings in the entire world, or the Indus script from a massive civilization with thousands of examples, and still nobody has definitively cracked it. Each one of these is a historical cold case. So, the holy grail for researchers is the hunt for a key. You've probably heard of the Rosetta Stone, right? It unlocked Egyptian hieroglyphics because it had the same text in a language they did know. That's what scholars are looking for today, that one bilingual text, that one crucial clue that could finally make these silent languages speak again. Okay, so moving on, the mystery actually gets a little deeper. Because get this, not all lost texts are unreadable. Some of them are simply lost. They're hidden away in collections, ignored for centuries, or, and this is my favorite, they're physically lurking right underneath another text. Think about it for a second. History is usually the story told by the powerful, by the winners. But these forgotten books, like the Mesoamerican Popol Vuh, they preserve the beliefs and the creation stories of cultures that were almost completely erased. When these things surface, they don't just add a few details. They can completely rewrite what we thought we knew about an entire civilization. And that brings us to one of the most incredible, almost sci-fi ways that texts survive, something called a palimpsest. See, parchment was super expensive, so it was actually common for people to just scrape an old text off a page and write a new one right on top. But erased, well, that didn't always mean it was gone for good. Let's just walk through this, because the process is amazing. Imagine a lost work by Archimedes, right? A totally unique scientific text. Then, centuries later, a monk needs parchment for a prayer book, so he scrapes the Archimedes text clean and writes his prayers right over it. And just like that, for 1,000 years, that science is gone. But then, modern imaging lets us look past the prayers and see the faint, ghostly text underneath. A lost world resurrected. So we've had scripts we can't read, and we've had texts that were hidden, but now we get to the really weird stuff. Manuscripts that are perfectly legible, they're beautifully illustrated, and yet we still have almost no idea what they were for. This metaphor is just perfect. It totally captures that unique frustration and fascination that these texts create. You can see all the pieces, the words and the pictures are right there, but you can't quite get the context. You just can't hear the conversation. So let's put two of the biggest mysteries side by side. On the one hand, you've got a gospel that isn't a story about Jesus at all, but a fortune-telling book. We can read the words, but its purpose just completely flips our expectations. And on the other hand, the famous Voynich manuscript, with its drawings of plants that don't exist and a text no one can read. Is it a lost language, a complex code, or just a very, very elaborate prank? The truly baffling thing is that the text actually follows linguistic patterns like word frequency that you see in real languages, which is why you can't just dismiss it as a hoax. Now, with all these bizarre puzzles and dead ends, you're probably wondering how we make any progress at all. Well, the hunt for these forgotten stories is being totally supercharged by technology. Right now, we are building the tools to finally listen to these lost voices. And the Modern Explorer's Toolkit is, frankly, incredible. Multispectral imaging can make faded ink just glow like it was written yesterday. CT scans can digitally unroll a scroll that was burned to a crisp in a volcano. And AI? AI can analyze patterns in undeciphered scripts way faster than any human ever could. And when you point this powerful toolkit at history's forgotten pages, well, the results are staggering. It's not just one or two texts being found. We're rediscovering entire categories of knowledge we thought were gone for good. Using these techniques on palimpsest alone has revealed unknown medical texts, early gospels, even more complete versions of ancient Greek writing. And just to put this into perspective, projects at just one single site, St. Catherine's Monastery, have uncovered hundreds of new hidden texts in a bunch of different languages. This isn't a slow trickle, it is a flood of new information from the past. And this is the whole point. Every single year, these technologies get better, and more long silent authors finally get to speak again. And their words can challenge and sometimes completely overturn what our history books have been telling us for centuries about science, about faith, about the ancient world. I think this just sums it all up so beautifully. We tend to think of history as this finished book, but it's not. It's a living document. It's a draft with huge sections that were torn out or erased or just lost along the way. So, why does all of this matter? Because every single time we decipher a script or uncover a hidden text, we are adding a voice back into the human story. A voice that was silenced by war or edited out by later historians or just lost to chance. It makes our understanding of who we are richer, more complex, and ultimately, a lot more true. And that leaves us with this final, tantalizing thought. Somewhere, right now, in a forgotten archive on a dusty shelf or locked inside an unreadable script, there is another missing chapter of our history. A poem, a scientific formula, maybe a personal letter that could change everything. The only question is, which one will we find next?